Welcome back to the YS channel, everybody. Your home for obscure and cult classic movies, and then the occasional blockbuster. Today, we're going to go over the travesty that is Waterworld, and how Kevin Costner's ego deluged the troublesome production.
That's right, Derek. Waterworld was the most talked about film of 1995, and also one of its biggest flops as it failed to break even, but found a new home on VHS and DVD. Flop so big it almost derailed Kevin Costner's film career.
Waterworld was underwater even before Kevin Costner came across script, but we're gonna dive in and see what went wrong and how this came to be.
Well, for those of you curious about the plot, Waterworld takes place in the year 2500 when all of the world's ice caps have melted and have flooded the Earth, except for a spot labeled as Dryland. Once Kevin Costner became involved, the movie was treated as a star vehicle for him, but little did he know the trouble that was brewing, and to some degree, he created it himself.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Costner, for anyone who's unaware of this movie, he plays a mutant in this movie. He can breathe on land and in water. I think his character has gills, if I remember correctly. Yeah, He has gills. Anyhow, and during a treading stop at an atoll, which those of you who haven't seen this movie, if you've ever seen The Road Warrior or Mad Max, imagine that, but at sea. That's pretty much what this movie is. But anyhow, this character shows up like a trading stop at an atoll, and he gets mixed up with like a group of seafaring bandits called the Smokers, and a woman and a girl who might hold the key to dry land. The atoll is attacked, but Costner takes a woman whose name is Helen and the girl, and they're chased by the Smokers, and their leader, who is played by the amazing Dennis Hopper.
Throughout the movie, the Smokers and Kevin Costner keep running into each other until the girl is kidnapped and taken to the ruins of the oil tanker Exxon Valdez. Kevin Costner, get this, single-handedly defeats the Smokers and rescues the girl. Eventually, they make it to dry land, which at one point was Mount Everest, and Kevin Costner resumes his seafaring ways.
Fucking Kevin Costner. So, there exists a cut called the Ulysses Edition that explains more of the backstory and gives the Mariner, which, again, Mariner is the mutant character that's played by Kevin Costner in the name of Ulysses. Portions of this was used for television editions, but has not been made available to the public. So, we're now going to explain some more of the production issues and the troubles that came with making this fucking movie. So, in case you already picked up on it, this movie was deluged with production issues. One of the primary issues was Kevin Costner himself, as we already lightly touched upon earlier. His ego literally almost sank this production. So, I think Kevin Costner was the one that wanted to make this whole thing a preachy, environmental, save the planet type of fucking story. Because, it reeks of environmentalism. And originally, the movie wasn't going to go that heavy-handed with it, but his involvement, pretty much made it so. You all have to understand, at this time in the 90s, this movie was being made. This came out before Titanic. And Titanic would ultimately take the crown of the most expensive movie ever made at the time. But this movie, when it was being made, was the most expensive movie ever made. And unlike the Titanic, which held the crown as the most successful box office a movie ever had for the longest fucking time, this movie was a total box office flop. I'm pretty sure it didn't even break even, when it was on its original theatrical release. It's only through syndicated TV and cable, DVD and VHS rentals and sales did this movie ultimately become profitable. But during its early run, nah. And I actually think they were trying to, if I remember this correctly, they wanted to, I want to say it was Universal Studios. I could be wrong. But they wanted to have like a Waterworld section. Like, they were trying to make a fucking franchise out of this shit. And, well, again, Kevin Costner's ego just torpedoed everything.
Well, Kevin Costner, to demonstrate how bad his ego was on this movie, he demanded one aspect for the production, and that was to digitally enhance his hairline because at the time he was losing his hair, and at the time, digitally restoring your hair via CGI computers was actually very expensive. So he was putting the production on the hook for that, and then out of fairness, he put some of his own money into this production, but at the same time, it gave him more say into what was being done. And at one point, he was when the cast and crew would go back home for the day, they were renting out a cheap resort, served for most of the cast and crew. But Kevin Costner got to stay in this 5-star luxury hotel suite during his entire stay in Hawaii when they were filming. And that actually raised tensions on set because here's Kevin Costner, all relaxed, pampered, ready to go, but the cast and crew living in very bad conditions are trying to muster enough energy to get to the day.
Yeah, Kevin Costner, again, during the '90s, he did have a string of mega box office, super money making movies. Like, he was in Robin Hood. He was in some kind of crime drama, I forget. Like, was he in Field of Dreams?
Yes.
Yeah. So I know there's some others that I'm just not thinking of right now. But he was a major star. He was an A-list.
Don't forget The Bodyguard. That movie in the early '90s was the fucking lips.
Yeah, and then of course he had Dances with Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
So he was pretty much like an A-lister. So again, being an A-lister, you have ego, and that, and a lot of the productions of Hollywood movies cater to that, and you get the mess out of the Waterworld production. Now, I will say this is not a bad movie. This is actually a fun movie to watch. I hate to say it, but when Kevin Costner's on screen, kind of But this is actually a good movie. It is fun to watch. To me, it's just derivative. It's essentially, like I already said earlier, it's a rip-off of the Mad Max Road Warrior trope, the post-apocalyptic world. But instead of taking place like a nuclear wasteland desert, it takes place in water. You replace all the trucks and motorcycles and other vehicles they have, and you just replace them with boats and jet skis and other contraptions. That's the same thing. Yeah.
well, that's just how bad they got out of hand. When the movie was originally conceived, it was meant to be a movie made by Roger Corman, and as we know, Roger Corman was a man who made movies for the cheap. And then it got passed around to other film studios, then eventually to Universal Studios, which took on the movie. And then when Kevin Costner got involved, that's when all the preachy shit and ego shit got out of hand.
Yeah, it's the environmentalism message, which this was a thing in movies of the '90s to an extent. There's a Steven Seagal movie. I want to say it's on Deadly Ground, but it was a terrible movie. But he's talking about environmentalism, and at that point, when that came out, he was a big star. There was other people on that bandwagon. So it wasn't uncommon for people to preach about this shit and try to push it into their messaging. But Waterworld does go a little too heavy-handed with it. You know, it's okay. We get it. The global warming, the melted ice caps. We get it. Now, don't let that distract you all from the entertainment value of the movie. It is very entertaining. You know, whether especially if you like the Road Warrior type movies, you'll love this one. Yeah, it has all the same action tropes, and then Dennis Hopper. You know, he had a habit of showing up in like back in the 1990s. He would play the villain in like either bad movies or obscure movies. He played Bowser in the Super Mario Brothers movie that came out in the early 90s. You know, there's like one other movie he was in. And like these are movies you wouldn't think he would show up in. But you know, he does his job phenomenally. Like he's a fucking good actor. You know, but even he can't like save the production troubles. Like he can't elevate the movie beyond what it is. You know, and as we already said, you know, this movie became profitable via like cable TV. You know, however they broker the deals for movies to show up on cable TV. You know, like you watch it like a TNN or something, TNT, AMC movies, or whatever movie channel was popular back in the day. And then of course, movie or DVD sale, rentals. You know, if it wasn't for that, this movie was a flop. You know, and then it's one of those that's kind of just best enjoyed, like on a late night, like get nothing else to do, and that comes on. It's best enjoyed that way. You know, because like it doesn't reinvent the wheel, it just copies old tropes. Now it does it very well, for the most part. You know, again, I mean, from a technical perspective, yeah, I mean, I can't list something they could have done better, other than drop a significant amount of the preachy environmentalism part, you know. But you know, you still get a fun movie to watch. You get action and fucking open sea almost. You know, basically you got apocalyptic pirates on fucking jet skis. You're chasing out their mutant, you know, and his hostage victim lady and her girl, daughter, or whatever. You know, they're all on a quest for dry land. Like, there was something there that just couldn't quite deliver. To where like this could have been like an instant classic. In the vein of like the Road Warrior Mad Max movie was. You know, like it just couldn't quite stick the landing, I guess. But at the end of the day, it's actually a good movie. You know, I mean, I won't elevate beyond good. I won't say it's great or like, go everybody go watch this, but it is a good movie. You know, like you have to give them all credit where credit is due. It's a good movie. You know, and this is actually not the only movie in the 90s that Kevin Costner fucking meddled with the production of. You know, another movie we're set to review on this channel is Tombstone. And he actually tried to meddle with the production of that one as well. But
and don't forget, this is also not the only post-apocalyptic movie Kevin Costner has made. A couple of years after he made Waterworld, he made The Postman, and Postman. We will review that movie one day.
Yeah, I mean, his ego got the better of him, and you know, it did temporarily kind of sink his career, like it sank the production of this movie. And no Waterworld pun intended there. But there you have it. You got Waterworld. You know, again, if you love action movies, especially like ones with a decent production, even one that's as troubled as this movie was, go see it. Or you like Kevin Costner or Dennis Hopper, go see it. But other than that, you know, you can pass. But with that said, thank you for sticking to our review and our discussion about Waterworld. Please like, subscribe, follow our channel. We do greatly appreciate it. And stay tuned for our next movie review.